Happy New Year, everyone. It is 2017 and I am back. I abandoned these little videos for a while, uh, but I'm back, so enough said about that. Um, I've moved into a new place and it's a rental. I'm here for just over a year. It was a year and a half to begin with, but 3 months have gone, so it's a year and 3 months remaining. And the house is really lovely. It's an old Victorian house, really big, about 4 times the size of my old place. And KO loves it, except he doesn't. He loved it when we moved in, but it's been really cold the past couple of weeks, and it takes a really long time to heat up this house. It's spread across 4 floors, although only 3 of them are heated. Each floor is really, really big. There's one little boiler powering the entire central heating system. And you have to have it running all the time to get the house to a sort of middling warm sort of temperature. Happily, there's a wood burning stove in the sort of kitchen eating type area, and that helps a lot. But for the most part, because KO is only with me half the time and I don't have the heating on a lot of the time when he's not with me or when I'm out of the house, by the time we get in here, when we turn up the heating, it just takes ages and ages to warm up the house, even like 1 degree or 2 degrees. So often the house is like 14 or 15 degrees. Well, it starts off at about 10 degrees if you let it drop. So anyway, the other day, KO said to me, Mummy, I think this house is too big for us. And I was like, why do you think that? And he said, because it's not very cozy. And I said, what do you mean by cozy? What makes a house cozy? And he said, it's cozy when a house is warm. So fair enough. He wants the house to be warm. It's too cold for him. He carries around the portable heater. We've got this little Dyson heater, fan heater, which is really light, and he'll carry it between from floor to floor to be in whatever room he's in. He'll put it on full and like have it blasting towards him, whether that's at breakfast in the morning or at night time in his room. He's cold in the house, so this is not good. I'm trying to work out some way of trying to keep the house warmer, but it's hard. I could have the heating on all the time, but it would literally be hundreds of pounds a month extra in heating bills. Maybe that's what it takes. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes, because I want my boy to feel at home when he's at home. But anyway, something funny happened to me today. Well, it didn't really happen to me today. It's actually not that funny either, and it's not funny, haha, and it's not even funny, strange. I'm just trying to unpack some things still because the house move was so gradual and a lot of things moved over in waves from the old house. And so another wave of things has come in and I'm trying to unpack, and it's an awful lot of stuff, and a lot of it needs to be thrown out, and I need to go through loads of it and figure out what I'm throwing out. But amongst the things that have come over are heaps and heaps of journals. So I've been journaling for a really long time, since I was about 9 years old. And I used to journal every night practically, especially when I was at university. I used to sit for an hour or two, not writing for the entire hour, but just sitting and processing the day and just enjoying the quiet of the night and sitting there with a blank book that had endless possibilities for expressing what I felt and exploring what that was and expressing what I'd experienced. And I still, when I think about those times, I still have so much fondness about those times, and I feel really peaceful, and I feel the enjoyment and pleasure of doing that again. And I still do that sometimes, but not in the way I did when I was at uni, where it was practically a daily practice, and it was something that I looked forward to every day. But anyway, I've got tons of these journals filled in, And the weird thing is, like, I haven't looked at most of them in a really long time, but every once in a while, when I'm sort of moving them from one place to another, I'll flip one open and just read a little bit, and I always get drawn in. It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating to kind of see the differences and the similarities between where I am now and where I was like 20 years ago. And today, this morning, that happened. I opened up one of my journals from 1998, and yeah, that's like, it was 19 years ago. And I started reading, and the thing that gets me every time when I start doing this is that 99% of the time I have zero recollection of anything I've written about. It's really weird to forget 99% of your life, the events, the people, the feelings, the experiences, to know you, because at the time I thought it was very, very vivid, and these things were such vivid experiences that I was in fully, and to have zero recollection. But anyway, I read a few pages, I read a few days worth this morning, and I ran across just like a weird little event that I'd written down from September 1998, when I had graduated from university, and I was working in the ticket office at the concert hall at the University of British Columbia. So I used to sit in the ticket office and sell tickets during the day to concerts and shows that were happening there. And I studied piano at UBC. I studied with Jane Coop, who I still feel a lot of warmth and respect and admiration for. I went there specifically. I went to that university specifically because I wanted to meet Jane and I wanted to study piano with her. And it was such a good decision. It turned out to be really significant for me, not just as a musician, but as a human being. But anyway, so I wrote down this little story that kind of that happened at a time when Jane had just performed at the concert hall. And there were other classical concerts happening. And so I'm just going to read a little bit of it because I just found it fascinating that I have no recollection of this, but it's kind of like it's really kind of insignificant, but just odd. Anyway, I wrote it down. It says, I met a Russian boy today. He was waiting at the ticket office anxiously for Volodos tickets when I got there to start work. He was extremely disinterested in the cost of the tickets and ended up buying a pair for $101. This is like 101 Canadian dollars in 1998, which isn't insignificant. It's a decent price to pay for concert tickets. So anyway, Skovorodnikov, his parents are concert pianists. Apparently they're both great. That's with a capital G. And they didn't like the Jane Coop concert yesterday. Young Skovorodnikov was very Russian, very keen. That's all I wrote about that little incident. Just this like weird little impression I'd had from this like guy who'd come in, been like really sort of like, just give me any tickets, I don't care what they cost, I need tickets for this concert and I'm so important and my parents are really amazing, they're both concert pianists, and like obviously that was kind of the impression he'd given me, and it was just a fleeting encounter with somebody who had come in and bought tickets, and I wrote it down. And if I hadn't recorded that in my journal that day, that memory would be gone forever. Would it matter? I don't know. It probably wouldn't. These experiences become a part of who we are. I don't know what this all means, this whole living and living and living and forgetting and forgetting and forgetting, but I do find it fascinating. So with that thought, I'll leave you. Happy New Year.